Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. Today we're looking at the role and use of the Voir Raven Bomber within the new Dark Eldar codex. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. Today we're looking at the role and use of the Voir Raven Bomber within the new Dark Eldar codex. This is the last of the tactical series on the different units in the book, and it's part of the tactical video series. So check out all the other videos that we've done so far covering the new Dark Eldar. How to, description, advanced tactica, that sort of thing. And check out the other videos I will have done on units, strategy, options, the formations, etc. in the playlist series if you're catching this at a later date. So the Voir Raven Bomber, another flyer in the Dark Eldar book. And it's been met with a bit of controversy within the new release. So, let's dig right into it. The Voir Raven Bomber is the ultimate in Dark Eldar heavy weapons deployment. Its aerodynamic design and supersonic turn of speed allow it to dance through the sky with ballistic grace. The Voir Raven's pilot will invariably be a veteran of the death races around the spires of High Comara. Nothing comes to them of breakneck aerial maneuvers that would kill a lesser steersman. Voir Ravens are invisible to all but the naked eye and mount complex sonic dampers that completely obscure the sound of its engines. Sensors and early warning equipment are rendered useless by a stealth warfare suit of such potency that the craft might as well be obscured by dark sorcery. Enemy pilots are equally helpless, their comms filling with panicked shouts as they try to hunt fast and deadly ghosts that their instruments insist simply do not exist. So, a Voir Raven Bomber is a fast machine of destruction. But what would make it appealing to the Dark Eldar army in general? Well, first of all, the model looks fantastic. I particularly built and painted my Voir Raven Bomber and played it a couple of times before I made this video in order to give you guys the best that I could in terms of the content for the new unit. Now it's 160 points, and let's go into its statistics. It's ballistic skill 4, like most Dark Eldar want to be. Its front, side and rear armor of 10 with 3 hull points, making it as survivable as a Razorwing or a Raider. It's very, very lightly armoured. And it is a flyer. It's a vehicle flyer that doesn't hover, it just flies. So, why would you take this over a Razorwing or over a Raider? Or, over a Ravager that has armour 11? Well, let's see. It has 2 Void Lances and 1 Void Mine in war gear, as well as night vision and supersonic, as most Dark Eldar units have in terms of the flyers. So what is a Void Lance and Void Mines? They are nasty lance weapons. So a Void Lance is a 36-inch strength 9 AP2 assault 1 lance. So it's a lance weapon that has an extra strength than most lance weapons do. Now this can be highly underestimated. most lance weapons are fantastic when firing at things that are armor 13 and 14 because they reduce the armor value. But anything that's less than that, armor 12 or lower, they would have needed that at strength 8 anyway, so their lance rule doesn't really help them. The additional strength really helps when cracking lighter armor or even heavy armored vehicles, getting those coveted penetrating hits to really cause some damage with the AP2. So, it can hunt some tanks. The Void Mine is a large blast, one-use only bomb that is also a lance weapon and is strength 9 AP2. So, it can take out tanks, it can take out infantry alike, but it is only a one-shot kind of thing. Now, we'll talk about this in the two-part series. The first, of course, is discussing how the VoidRaven is, and the second will discuss strategies. But it's unlike the Razor Wing, where it comes in and unloads its whole payload of missiles. You have the VoidRaven dropping one bomb. It's very strong, good AP, but it's just one bomb. It's going to hit or it's going to miss, and that's it. So we'll discuss how to capitalize on that later in the video. Now, it does have a few options, not very many in terms of a flyer, but it does have a few options that you as a Dark Eldar Archon can really, pick and choose. It can take 4 Shatterfield missiles for an extra 40 points. It can take 2 Shatterfield missiles and 2 Implosion missiles for an extra 50 points, or it can take 4 Implosion missiles for an extra 60 points. Now, personally, I would not buy it missiles ever. The basic missile cost makes your armor 10 flyer a 200 point flyer. In terms of damage output, yes, you could do a lot of damage with the missiles, but for an armor 10 flyer, 200 points is not something I would recommend in terms of investment. Keep it cheap. Keep it basic and use its different attributes and cheapness to its advantage. Don't make it more expensive. Now, the Void Lances can be exchanged for another weapon called the Dark Scythe, which is like a plasma cannon in imperial terms. So, if you and this is for free, you don't have to pay anything. You can do the Dark Scythes if you wanted to. The Dark Scythe is a shorter range, it's only 24 inches, but it is strength 8 AP2, heavy 1 blast, and lance. So, it can do a lot of damage on clumped up tanks or clumped up enemy units. The only disadvantage to the Dark Scythe is when your VoidRaven jinx, it will be unable to use the Dark Scythes because they are blast weapons. Now, this is hit or miss. Personally, I've only tested the VoidRaven with the Void Lances, but I really want to test it with the Dark Scythes because I feel with the bomb and the 2 small blasts, which are about the same as the lance weapons, they're strength 8 AP2, it can really fulfill an anti-infantry role and an anti-tank role more effectively than a Razor Wing bomber over the course Razor Wing over the course of the game, not just on like the one turn that it unloads all its missiles. So, and it just constantly keeps your opponent thinking about clumping up or charging a tank and getting all tight into nice packed lines to blow up. It can take Night Shields as well for 15 points, and this would be hit or miss. Personally, I don't want to spend Night Shields on it. If it's your only flyer in the sky, yes, I would suggest Night Shields to keep it alive. Come in, drop a bomb, shoot the lances, jink when the enemy retaliates with firepower, move off the board, come on the next turn, and then just use its Void Lance to start taking out key targets. Or its Dark Scythe, whichever one you think you like the best. So, it's an all-round killer unit. Can do tanks, you can equip it to do infantry, it's a flyer so it's hard to hit, yet don't be fooled, it is a Dark Eldar vehicle, it's very, very light, so positioning and maneuvering is going to be of utmost importance. Stay away from Skyfire Nexuses, be careful of units with Skyfire and Interceptor, and just be wary of that sort of thing in the battlefield. So as a Dark Eldar Archon, how can you fit a VoidRaven Bomber into your list? Point for point, if you're going to take one flyer in your army, I would recommend the Razorwing Jet Fighter because it's more of an all-rounder. You can get a lot of damage on infantry and its cost is so dirt cheap. It's fantastic. Now you do have to pay an extra 30 or 20 points depending on whether or not you give the Razorwing Lances in comparison to a Razorwing to take a VoidRaven Bomber. Now, is the extra cost warranted for just the strength increase and a bomb? Not really, but it does give you, because it's in the heavy support choice slot, it gives you the option to really go crazy. You can take 6 flyers in a combined arms detachment. You can have 3 Razorwings, you can have 3 VoidRaven Bombers, for example. Personally, I've been playing around with a null deployment style Dark Eldar army using the Scalpel Squadron from the Coven book here. And it's designed around 2 Razorwings and a VoidRaven Bomber. And I keep everything off the board, deep strike the Scalpel Squadron turn 1, keep them alive for turn 1. Turn 2, I want to bring my flyers on. So I bring the VoidRaven, I bring the Razorwings on, and they blast key targets on the battlefield. And then on turn 3 I bring in my Venoms to start mopping up the survivors. At least that's how the army concept is designed to work. I've used it a couple of times. And the VoidRaven Bomber has been key. It's bigger, it's more menacing on the table, and psychologically this does affect your opponent. Your Razorwings are small and sleek. The VoidRaven Bomber is quite large. It's very large, it's very long, and it puts that imposing shadow on the battlefield. Although the Lances are just 2 shots that it has, or the blasts, whichever one you've chosen to go, your opponent is going to be wary that they're stronger Lances. And you can use your bomb as a terror weapon without using it. You can line up, move up on an angle, get ready to move either point on the battlefield the next turn, and then force your opponent to really consider where they want to move to risk having that big bomb dropped on them. And that sort of conundrum can cause your opponent to start reacting to your movements, which as a Dark Eldar player is key. And I think the VoidRaven Bomber can do that sort of thing with its presence or just the threat of it being there. Now, it's not as useful against, say, Horde armies as the Razorwing is, but it does fit a niche of another, tank or flyer in the army that has a role, and it can be fitted to anything you think you could use within your army list, which is one of the reasons I love this book so much. Everything works in synergy. Everything works in synergy. And the VoidRaven Bomber is no exception. Now, it falls on to you to make a list that really complements the different units within the army itself to bring out its whole. So with this, we conclude the role and use in the tactical series on the different data slates of each of the Dark Eldar units in the codex. Coming up, we'll have the formations, we'll have the detachment, we'll have different war gear strategies, unit upgrades, and how to run them, as well as a series where I will be talking about how to build a core 1,000-point list in 3 different themes, or 4 different themes, and how to expand that army to a 1,500 to 2,000 point army for any new Archon players. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share the videos, really appreciate it. Check out the playlist and the blog at SkaredCast.blogpost.com or blogspot.com. Check us out. Thanks a lot for your time, and we'll see you on the next tactical video. Scary, out.